Hi everybody, it's Lisa Moore here, your instructor for English 102 online, an 8-week session here at Glendale Community College, and this is your weekly touch base. I hope you guys are all hanging in there and doing well. You should be through the orientation and through the second half of last week where we were just kind of ramping up with some discussions about personal freedoms and their importance in our life. We're in week 2. Now remember, in an 8-week class, week 2 means you're doing basically 2 weeks worth of work. So this would have been weeks 3 and 4 in a 16-week course. So there is a lot on your plate this week. You won't always have as much on your plate as you do right now in this particular week. So hang in there. Be in contact with me if you're struggling with any of it, or if you just want to talk back and forth as you choose your topics. I am always here for you with that. So let's talk about what is on your plate. You have lesson 1.1, which is understanding research. You have a few things having to do with learning the Toulmin style of argumentation. So you have a lesson about Toulmin style and you have an activity. You have a link in the module, so make sure you're logging in and checking out what's going on in the module. You have a link teaching you about paraphrasing that you need to check out. Today is the 26th, which means I should be seeing your first prospectus. So you should be done with the discussion about your topics, and today you might be submitting to me a prospectus. If things in this class come in, not 100% at the exactly on the due date, that's fine. Let me know if you're falling behind though. So if I get the prospectus tomorrow, no big deal. You have lesson 6.1, which is talking about doing web searches. Assignment 3, which asks you to work on locating sources. You have a lesson about writing an argument. And then on Sunday, you will have due your proposal and an outline. You're not married to this outline, but as you continue to write the paper throughout the semester, if you go in a different direction or if you change something, you'll want to go back and edit that outline because the outline is part of the final paper. So that'll be due on Sunday. I know that that is a lot, but we kind of ram it through in the beginning before you're really deep into the research, because as the class goes on, you're going to be heavily researching and writing more complicated papers. Right now you're doing a lot of lessons and you're choosing a topic and you have to write an outline about where you think your paper is going to go. So it's a lot, but I'd rather have all of this off your plate so that when you're writing the paper, you can focus on writing the paper. A few things I wanted to touch base with you on. We are going to be using APA in this class. I may have told some of you that I thought we'd be doing MLA and APA. I'm using a different course and we're just going to stick with the APA in this class. What's the deal with APA? Why have you been doing MLA forever and now suddenly APA? Well, MLA, which stands for Modern Language Association, is the citation tool, the citation format that's used in English and humanities classes. Raise your hand if you're all becoming English and humanity majors. I don't see very many hands out there. I use it a lot, and I used it throughout my education because I became an English teacher. But many of you, when you leave English 101 and 102, are going to go on to study other things. My hair is driving me crazy. Sorry, guys. And you're not going to use MLA anymore, so you may use APA. So let's teach you APA so that you're ready for it when you're in other classes. APA is used in the social and behavioral sciences, so you're going to probably use that sometime during your bachelor's degree. I'm going to send out a few links to help you with this as resources. Do you need to memorize how to do APA? No. Should you know what your resources are when you have questions? Yes, you're going to want to know where to go to answer those questions. So I'll make sure you have some sources for that. Yesterday, you should have wrapped up your discussion where you guys are talking about your possible topics with your classmates. If you are struggling to find a topic, here's my advice for you. I encourage people to find a topic where you are writing in favor of something, in favor of a right or a personal freedom, rather than writing about stripping freedoms from other people. That can get a little dicey. So think about something that is a freedom that you think is important or that you hold dear that maybe isn't what it used to be, or you can make an argument that it's being constrained or cramped or restricted in some way. Think of a topic like that, because you'd want to be able to argue that it's in danger, basically, that it's in jeopardy, and then you could argue for its importance. And again, try to pick something where you're arguing in the positive rather than the negative. That's not necessarily 100% required, but it just gets kind of icky when people are arguing about taking rights away from other groups of people. I'll read your paper, but you may have a hard time finding the research from reputable sources, things like that. Some of you guys were talking about freedom of speech. So I wrote back to a lot of people individually, but when we talk about the freedom of speech in America, we are always, I know you may not realize that we are, but we're always talking about the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights, which says that the government cannot infringe on a citizen's right to speak, either through written word, through speech, through symbolic speech like art. The government can't infringe upon those things. So it gets tricky when people are saying, yeah, we don't have freedom of speech anymore because everybody's offended or because people are fighting. Well, the First Amendment doesn't say anything about the fact that everybody has the right to disagree with you. You have the right to express your opinion, and somebody has the right to express their opinion that they don't like what you had to say. So all of that is about the First Amendment. If you really want to write about the First Amendment, you would have to prove that the government is infringing on citizens' right to speak. What I see you guys talking about is that so it's not imaginary, there's definitely an issue with civil discourse in America right now with I think people used to keep their opinions to themselves, like in the 50s. I don't know that that was any better, personally. I think people had just as many opinions and judged people just as harshly, but maybe they just did it behind closed doors. And in 2019, it's out there, and it's in social media. So even if you're not looking at the First Amendment, there is a possibility to talk about changes in civil discourse, how we talk maybe influences public opinion, how maybe it influences votes. We have some issues with fake news, as they like to say, misinformation, disinformation campaigns. How do those influence how we think and feel? So there's an issue there with discourse or the right to free and accurate information, the flow of information. It's a little hazy. So if you're really interested in it, talk with me. But we're going to phrase it as something other than free speech, because free speech is First Amendment. Unless you really can prove that the government specifically is like throwing people in jail for speech. When somebody tweets something and then they get fired, that's not the government. That's a corporation who wants to make money and doesn't want to have their wagon hitched to somebody who said something racist. That's about money. That's not the government. Did you get the idea? It's kind of tricky. Know that I support everybody's beliefs in this class, no matter what they may be, but I want to help you find the right angle on a paper so you can write a good paper with good research. Okay, I'm going to look at my notes. So we talked about APA. I'm going to send out some links to you. We talked about finding a topic. Again, if you want to chat with me about it, send me a message in Canvas. We could go back and forth and I could help you settle upon something. And then you've got all those lessons on your plate this week. So good luck with that. Hang in there. And on Sunday, I should have your proposal and outline. Hang in there with me as well while I grade everything. I usually need about a week to get through everything. And then, of course, I have my face-to-face classes, so I'm getting through all of their stuff too. So you guys are all like one of my, it's like 6 classes. So I'm working to get through it. If you have any questions or if you're concerned about a score, always contact me. All right, that's probably a long enough video for today. I will see you guys in Canvas, and I will see you next Monday or Tuesday with my next video. Have a great week.